morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, from what country you are joining from. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Osonuga. I'm excited to talk to you about OSINT, or Open Source Intelligence, and how it can be leveraged for effective cyber investigation. First off, I would like to appreciate Mr. Jeremy Martins for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present at the CSI Linux conference. I want to also appreciate the entire CSI Linux crew for making this possible. So first off, who am I? My name is Osonuga, as I've said. I'm a cybersecurity and a cloud engineer. Although my major suit is cybersecurity engineer, I just recently moved into cloud engineering about 2 years ago, which I started by taking some certification in cloud, and over time I found cloud interesting and easy, so I then went on to build up my pathway in the cloud. I have a lot of robust certifications such as the CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker. I have CC, that is Certified in Cybersecurity by ISC2, an exam developer for ISC2 for the CC exam. I've developed about 3 exams, and I have the Certified AppSec Practitioner by the SecOp Group. Then for CSI Linux, I have the CSI Linux Certified Instructor. I have the CSI Linux Certified Investigator. I have the CSI Linux Dark Web Investigator. And for my cloud journey, I have 5 Microsoft Azure certifications, which are Microsoft Certified Security Operations Analyst, Microsoft Certified Azure Administrator Associate. I have Microsoft Certified Identity and Access Administrator. I have the Microsoft Certified Security and Compliance Fundamentals. I have the Microsoft Certified Azure Fundamentals. And then on the sideways, I'm also into research. I have just 1 publication to my name, but in future terms, I'm looking to be able to do more research in order to further expand my knowledge and build things. Yeah. So that is basically who I am, rather. So today we'll be covering the following. First, what is OSINT? Second, the sources of OSINT. Third, tools and techniques used in OSINT. Fourth is application of OSINT. Fifth is benefit and challenges. Sixth is case studies. And lastly, we'll be answering question and answer. So what exactly is OSINT? OSINT stands for Open Source Intelligence, and it involves collecting and analyzing information from publicly available sources to produce actionable intelligence. The key here is that all the data gathered through OSINT is open and available to the public. So there is no hacking or covert access involved at all. Every information that we gather are information that are publicly available. And there is something I like, which someone quoted, and it says that the internet doesn't forget things easily. The internet doesn't forget things easily. So whatever you post, whatever things you keep online, it has a way of staying online. Although you might have thought that you deleted some certain things, but if you actually check the internet archive, we'll be able to find what particular year, probably 2008, that you thought it is gone, but it is still on the internet. So I'm not trying to move into the deep web or anything, just focus on OSINT. So there's no hacking or covert access involved. OSINT can involve various types of publicly accessible information, such as social media posts, news article, public government record, academic papers, and much more. Now, why is OSINT so important? OSINT provides valuable insights at a relatively low cost, and it is available to anyone. It is timely, it is comprehensive, and covers a broad spectrum of sources. This makes it essential in fields like national security, law enforcement, and business intelligence. OSINT is a key tool for organizations looking to stay ahead of cyber threats or gather intelligence about competitors or emerging trends. OSINT sources can be broadly categorized into several types. First, we have the media. So when we talk about OSINT sources, we talk about what type of information that we could get from the different sources. So first, we have the media. From the media, we could get information like from newspaper, from magazine, from radio, from television. We could get information from all those media sources. Second, we could get information or OSINT information from the internet. The internet, such as websites. We have a lot of websites nowadays, and people register on this website, people create account, people leave footprint behind on different websites. So on the internet, we could gather information from websites, we could gather information from blogs, we could gather information from social media platforms, and also from forums. Third is the public government data. We could get information or intelligence from public government data, such as reports, such as budgets, such as hearings, press releases, and official websites. Then we have professional and academic publication. So we could get information from journals, from conference papers, from dissertation and thesis. Then we have commercial data as well, which involves market reports, financial data, and commercial imagery. Then lastly, we have grey lecture, which involves information from technical reports, patents, business documents, and unpublished work. Now let's dive into some specific examples. Social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook can provide real-time information, which is crucial for monitoring events or trends as they unfold. Public records such as court documents or government filing offer verifiable data that can be crucial in investigation. Depending on the investigation, we may also use technical report and academic paper. Especially detailed technical knowledge is required. Now let's dive into some specific example. Social media platform, for example, Twitter and Facebook can provide real-time information. I mean, a lot of people nowadays depend a lot on social media, and we don't know it, right? Any small thing that we do, we post online, or we comment, we're the first person to add our thought about things, and indirectly we are leaving behind footprints or what we call intelligence that can be used by the OSINT framework. And those information are vital because every piece of information that is gotten from the internet, when they are brought together, they make a whole lot. So Twitter and Facebook can provide real-time information, which is crucial for monitoring events or trends as they unfold. Public records such as court documents or government filing offer verifiable data that can be crucial in investigation. So depending on the investigation, we may also use technical reports or academic papers, especially when detailed technical knowledge is required. So we're not just limited to Facebook and Twitter. These are just examples. Some we use Instagram and a lot of other social media platforms as well. but the platform with most active users are Facebook and Twitter. So, and these are where people express themselves, right? And to feel among, they try to join the trend, and all this information that is left behind is what brings together the OSINT sources. So there are numerous tools available for OSINT, and some popular ones may include Multego, Shodan, TheHarvester, SpiderFoot. Shodan, Multego, TheHarvester, SpiderFoot. Now, Multego is a data mining tool that helps in link analysis. So when we're looking at Multego, we are able to chain information together from different sources. So it helps in link analysis. For Shodan is a search engine for internet-connected devices. Shodan calls itself the Internet of Everything search engine. Why? Because anything that has what we call the internet capability or capacity, what we call Internet of Things, are searchable on the internet through Shodan. So let me give you an instance. We have all these things that we call smart home, smart gadgets. For example, we have the smart TV, we have the smart light, we have the smart name it. Yeah. So all these things are connected to the internet so that they can be remotely controlled. Yeah. And now each of these Internet of Things or these smart devices needs an IP address. And with the fact that they have an IP address to be controlled, that makes them a target for attackers. And now Shodan is a platform that has a connection to the Internet of Everything, both our normal device and our IoT devices that are connected to the internet. It has a database that could search for any device at all in the internet. So the TheHarvester was popularly known for its capability of gathering emails of employees in an organization, and that was what made it stand out a lot. Then we have SpiderFoot. SpiderFoot is an open source intelligence automation tool used for automating OSINT gathering. In addition to the tools, there are several techniques used in OSINT, such as Submit, which is social media intelligence, and it involves analyzing social media profile and activities. We have search engine data mining, which involves using advanced search technique to find specific information rather. So when we look at search engine data mining, that's when we are talking about what people call Google docking, or what others call Google hacking. So Google docking or Google hacking is a way of using the Google search engine to bring out specific information, not just general information. So attackers or cybersecurity experts or security researchers, they take some queries and feed it to the Google search engine, and with those queries they pinpoint to a particular resource in a website or in a server with information. So take for example, attackers or cybersecurity experts want to get a vulnerable point or a vulnerable. Okay, so take for example, a security researcher wants to get every website that has the word GoDaddy in its URL. So the researcher can use the parameter called in URL on Google search engine and specify that we are looking for the name GoDaddy or CSR Linux. So take for example, a security researcher wants to gather information on any website that has the word CSI Linux on its URL. So the security researcher could take a parameter called in URL with a column and put CSI Linux and feed it to the Google search engine. And what Google does is that every website that has the word CSI Linux on its URL, it brings them out specifically. It doesn't go around the bush. It brings out specific information. So next we have public record checking, and it involves accessing and verifying information from public record. Then we have data scraping, which involves extracting data from websites and databases or online database. Now let's see a quick demonstration of. Alright, so we'll be looking at using SpiderFoot for OSINT investigation. Now to run SpiderFoot, I'm going to come to the OSINT tab. I'll come to OSINT framework, and then I'm going to run SpiderFoot. So this runs SpiderFoot. I'm going to refresh. Okay, let me go back and come directly from the terminal. SpiderFoot. And now this should run good. So now on the SpiderFoot home tab, alright, so at this point, when you open the SpiderFoot, it brings you your previous scan pane, where it shows you what scan you've done, and yeah, so from here you can see that I've done a test domain for a domain scan. I've done a target scan, and these are the results. Now, the first thing I need to do when you run the SpiderFoot is that you need to come to settings, and that is because you will need to install some OSINT sources that we have here, and although you're going to need some APIs to fill in some of the sources like the Bing, the abuse IP, and a lot. So I've filled up few of my sources already. So for example, let's say you want to use leak lookup, right? So you come to leak lookup, and then it tells you that this is the website where you could log in and get your API key. So once you register your account and you're given API key, just come and paste the API value here, and you save changes. Okay, so after you've had your API key set up already, now you could come back to a new scan. Now, here we can see that we can perform different types of scan using the SpiderFoot. We could perform the domain scan. If our target is a domain, we're going to type our domain in the scan target over here. If our target is an IP address, we'll put in our target address. If it's an IPv6 address, we're going to put in our target IPv6 address over here. If it's a subdomain, this is how it should look like. If it's a subnet, if it's a Bitcoin address, yes, it also does cryptocurrency. If it's an email address, this, if it's a phone number, this is the format. If it's an email name, this is the format. It must be in quote. It must be in quote. If it's a username as well, this is the format. This is the format. It must be in quote as well if it's a user name, and then if it's a network ASN, it must be like this. So now I'm going to put in my scan target. So for now, I want to scan an IP address, so I'll name it as test IP, and then my target will be 124.222.31.94. So this is my target, and then now I can see a use case over here. The first one is an all use case, which gets anything and everything about the target. And the description is that all footprint module will be enabled, which is slow, but every possible piece of information about the target will be obtained and analyzed. The next is the footprint use case. The footprint use case, it understands what information this target exposes to the internet, and in the description it gains an understanding about the target network perimeter, associated entities and other information that is obtained through a lot of web crawling and search engine use. The next is investigate, and this is best for when you suspect the target to be malicious but need more information. So some basic footprints will be performed in addition to querying of blacklists and other sources that may have information about your target's maliciousness. Next is passive, and this is when you don't want the target to even suspect that they are being investigated. So as much information will be gathered without touching the target or their affiliates. Therefore, only modules that do not target will be enabled. Good. So now we're going to use all so that we could see what required data we can search about our targets. So bear in mind, this is an IP address, so this is all related to IP address and also there's an email. So this is trying to gather information around the IP address and to try to bring affiliate domain, affiliate website, and also try to bring out affiliate email address and other types of information, as we can see in the screen. So now I'm going to leave this as is. Then now we're going to come by module. So now this by module is going to be depending on the API that we have installed. Bear in mind, anyone that you see padlock here says need API, while others that doesn't have padlock is free. So, and I don't have all the API to all these, so I'm going to first come and select all. I have the abuse IPDB, I have the Bing, so I'll select this, and I'll work with this. Come and say, okay, I'll scroll down, and then I'll say run scan now, and this should start running the scan. It should bring me to this page. It is running already. Now it is scanning the IP address. Now it said it is finished scanning the IP address. Once I come to correction and browse, there is nothing related to the IP graph insufficient data. Let me come back. So there was no valuable information that was brought out. Okay, so I'll come back to new scan. I'm going to put in the IP address once again. I'll say test IP2. And then now, instead of me clicking on all, I'm going to come to investigate. So I want it to investigate the IP address and ensuring that all these are selected as well. So required data are selected as well. So now I'm going to run my scan now. And so this might take a while. You can see it says starting, and then it has entered into running. And now that it's running, it has started scanning. So now it is gathering information about the entity. We can see that it has gotten a BGP AS membership, blacklisted IP on the same subnet, IP address, unique IP address, malicious IP on same subnet, net block membership, physical address, that is the physical location as well, and the raw data from RIRS or API. So we can see how that it is gathering different type of information from just an IP address, which is, to me, this is next level hunting, because I remember before, years back, it is kind of difficult to actually gather information. I mean, although not as much difficult as I would have thought, but it is not easy. But having the different API keys for the different module in the SpiderFoot could give you more information than what the normal Joe could get. So now we're in the summary, and we can see it has found 62 total, 44 unique, and the status is still running. Now I could come to correlation. The correlation tab will not show until the scan is done running. So I'm going to leave this for now, and now I'll come to browse. So in this browse, I can see that it has found some affiliate email address linked to the supposed IP address. It has found all this information like we've seen before. And now in the graph, this connects the the IP address rather, to the possible information that it got related to the IP address. So all this, it just gives a form of connection, and that this is the country, this is the physical location. So now scan settings just shows us which scan settings we are using, and all that, the modules as well. So this is nothing much special. So we're going to wait for the scan to finish. It is done. The scan is done. Now let's come to correlation. Now the correlation is that the entity is considered to be malicious by multiple sources. So this is a malicious IP address, and now we want to see what type of information that this malicious IP address has. So let's say I want to view the email, which of course is affiliated. I think they are trying to track down this IP address. So these are the emails around the IP address. The emails around the IP address. So I'll come back to browse. I want to see others blacklisted IP address on the same subnet. So these are the other ones. So bear in mind that in SpiderFoot, we can also search by subnet as well. And if I'm to search the O of the subnet, we will get a lot of more information on related to the target. Okay, so that is SpiderFoot. Okay, so the next tool that we will be looking at is Shodan. So Shodan is a search engine that is designed to find an index internet connected devices. So unlike traditional search engine that focuses on websites, Shodan scans the internet for devices such as webcam, routers, servers, and even industrial control system (ICS). It controls data on these devices. It collects data on these devices, including their IP address, open ports, and operating system. Shodan is often used by cybersecurity professionals to monitor network exposure and identify potential vulnerabilities in connected devices. It is a powerful tool for understanding the landscape of the Internet of Things and ensuring the security of various internet connected devices. So now, how can Shodan be actually used for OSINT? Well, as I've said before, it finds and indexes internet connected devices. And so that means every device that are connected to the internet can be indexed on Shodan. So for example, if I'm looking for a camera, for example, I'll type camera and then I'll search. So it brings me every camera that is a web camera or an IP camera all over the world. And on the left pane here, we could see that we could filter by country, United States, Vietnam, Germany, China. We could even filter by top organization as well. We could filter by by the top product of the camera model, and also by the operating system of the camera. So I mean, just this is not really alone, because even though you can see a lot of devices online that are connected to the internet, most of them, or let's say 50% of them are secured, right? So now this is now where Shodan get interesting. It has some search queries that allows you to find vulnerable devices online. Okay, so let's say for example, camera in a sense as screenshots true. Then I search for it. Now we can see that it brings us camera that has the view, right? So because of my plan, I'm limited to how many I can see, but so you can see that it brings out camera that we can see their lens. So that is one of the cool features of Shodan, but not everything is. So this is just for cameras that as screenshot for true. Now if I remove the camera and let's say a general as screenshots, which is true, this should bring out every. Hold on, let me check my network. Alright, so this should bring out every devices that has that function that is able to receive screenshots out, and people all over the world can see the system. So now we can see that there's a Windows server here that has different accounts that is open, is vulnerable to it runs a Windows Server 2012, and that's a vulnerable RDP port. So so we can see about the system, about a lot of system, and so it is just interesting, and there are also other type of interesting. So now note that the IP address of every camera, every system are also given. So if you open any of the IP address out and it brings you the device interface, then you will be able to have access to the system. So I'm not going to delve much into this because I don't have authorized permission to access that. So I'm just showing you an example of how to use the Shodan query. Now we have a lot of other type of search queries for Shodan. If we're looking for, let's see, a vulnerable, let's say a traffic light controller, a bureaucratic traffic light controller. So I'll copy this and then I'll come and search for that, and this should give me this street light controller for the country. So the top country is USA. So as you can see, then let's look at something more interesting, right? Let's see. Okay, yes, for remote desktop, we have unprotected VNC for devices that are unprotected. That means they are running on this particular RFB 003.008 and the authentication is disabled. So this should show us unprotected VNCs that is all over the world. And so we use this Shodan, it will get everything, and now we could access all these that are unprotected because the authentication is disabled, and it's possible to also access all the system online. So you can see it is only giving us an output about how it looks like. This is a root access, by the way. So there are a lot of them that we will have access into. So Shodan is a very powerful search engine, a very powerful OSINT tool as well. So you could just look at a lot of other interesting search queries and see, what you can do. A popular one that we use a lot is this FTP servers with anonymous login. And you would see it would bring you different FTP servers or different devices that have the FTP enabled and also as anonymous login. So what the anonymous login does is that once the anonymous login is true, we'll be able to log into the server with the user called anonymous. And upon logging in, we'll have access to all the files that are in that system. So this is very dangerous, So, but yeah, this is investigation. So we can filter by country as well. We can filter by top organization. If we have some specific organization that we are targeting, we can filter by the organization, and we should have our target in view. So these are part of why we use Shodan as for OSINT investigation. Okay, so now we're going to look at the TheHarvester. So the TheHarvester is a powerful open source intelligence tool or OSINT tool used for gathering information about a specific domain. It is particularly useful during the reconnaissance phase of pen testing and red teaming. The tool collects data such as email addresses, subdomains, IP addresses, and URL from various public sources like the search engine, social network, and other online databases. The TheHarvester can help identify potential vulnerabilities and understand external threat landscape of a target domain. It is widely used by cybersecurity professionals to enhance their security assessment and ensure comprehensive coverage of potential attack vector. So it gathers information such as emails, address, subdomains, IP address, and URL. So now, how do we use the TheHarvester to gather this information about a target? So to be specific, it gathers information around a domain. This tool doesn't cover around phone numbers or what do we call it now? It doesn't cover phone number, it doesn't cover name, it doesn't cover covers, username. We have other tools that cover all those. So to use the TheHarvester, I'll say the TheHarvester, then I'll specify the domain. If I run this as is, it's meant to bring me the help page. And now I need to specify my domain, then the limit of information that I need to get, and also the source. So these are the three basic things that are important to set while trying to gather information. So I will say the TheHarvester.py, then -d, and here I'll put in my target organization that I want to search about them. I'll say csilinux.com. Then I need to put a limit on the information that it is going to get, that's 300. And then lastly, I'm going to put in a source. So this source, I could specify that, okay, I want this source to come from Google search engine and Bing and probably Yahoo. But this just limits the amount of information that I'm supposed to get, because I want to get every type of information about this target. So instead of me specifying the search engine that I need those information from, I could just use the all syntax that comes with the TheHarvester, and this picks all sources that the TheHarvester has, and it gathers information based on all the sources. So I'm going to use the all syntax, and then I'll press enter. And so yes, it requires API key for a lot of sources such as GitHub, FullHunt, Hunter, IntelliX, and a lot of them. So if you have API key, you can find the API key in this particular directory. So I'm going to also show you how to put in API keys as well. So the harvester search result normally take a while. So I'm just going to pause this and please when it is done. Okay, so it is done. It is done. I'm scanning, and now we could let me just scroll back up so that we'll see where it starts from. Alright, so it started from the ASNS. And gather information about the ASNS, and then it found some interesting URL, which if we're into investigation, we could try to check those and see if we could find any vulnerability on those links. And then found some IP addresses and then some contact email. Obviously it looks like just this one that it looks like this is the one that is useful for us. So, and then some interesting host API found as well. So this is the basic information that the harvester was able to harvest. And yeah, so that brings the end of the demonstration. Now let's go back to our presentation. Now let's discuss about some application of OSINT or open source intelligence. First, in national security, OSINT is used to monitor threats. It's used to track the activities of adversaries and also gather intelligence. For instance, monitoring social media platform can help identify emerging terrorist threats or extremist group, which is true. OSINT is used as part of a broader intelligence gathering efforts to safeguard national security. Now, for law enforcement agency, OSINT is used also in law enforcement agency. And law enforcement agency use OSINT to investigate crimes and track criminal activities down. Whether it is tracking a suspect movement through social media or identifying stolen goods listed for sale on OSINT provide investigators with leads that can be crucial to solving crime. OSINT in business intelligence. In the business world, OSINT help analyze market trend, competitor activities, and potential risk. So in the business world, companies use OSINT for competitive analysis and market research. For example, tracking competitive activity, understanding market trend, and identifying risk are all part of business intelligence. OSINT provides a competitive edge by leveraging publicly available information to stay ahead of the competition. However, OSINT also comes with its challenges as well. So, what are the challenges of OSINT? First, we have information overload. Second, we have verification. Third, we have privacy concerns. Fourth, we have legal and ethical issue. How does this lead to the challenge? First, for information overload, there is an overwhelming amount of data available, which can make it difficult to sift through and find valuable insight. So because we have a lot of information online, the OSINT tools might gather a lot of both necessary and unnecessary data, and so when it comes to sieving them, it could become a challenge to the investigator. Second is the verification. Not all publicly available data is accurate. Verifying the authenticity and the reliability of information is crucial as well. So one thing about the internet is that people post things, whether it is true or not. So being able to verify those information that are authentic is an important part of justice, which brings about the challenge of OSINT. Third is the privacy concern. Although OSINT is legal, it is important to balance intelligence gathering with respecting individuals' privacy rights. So privacy rights is a big concern, and when it comes to gathering information, you need to know the boundary of what information that you need to get. And then lastly, we have legal and ethical issue. While OSINT uses public data, it is still important to navigate any legal or ethical concern, particularly when dealing with sensitive data. So while gathering information, it is important to bear in mind the legal concerns about the type of data that you are gathering. Now let's look at a case study, OSINT in cybersecurity. So In this case study, I'm going to tell you how OSINT helped a bank called Secure Bank thwart a major phishing attack rather. So here's the background. The cybersecurity team at Secure Bank, which is a large financial institution responsible for safeguarding sensitive customer data and millions of dollars in transactions every day. Lately, your team has noticed a worrying trend, which is a rise in phishing email targeting both employees and customers. So these emails looks remarkably like the one that they are coming from Secure Bank, and the fear is that some customer might fall for it, potentially leading to data breaches or financial losses. Now the challenge now is we need to identify who is behind this phishing campaign and figure out what they are up to and stop it before any real damage is done. Now we're going to look at 4 phases into handling this scenario. Phase 1 is spotting the phishing campaign. Phase 2 is connecting the dots campaign. Phase 2 is connecting the dots. Phase 3 is acting fast to stop the attack. And while the last phase is digging deeper and catch the bad guys. So in phase 1, how do we spot the phishing campaign? So your team knows this won't be easy, but instead of waiting for disaster to strike, you decide to take a proactive approach by leveraging OSINT. OSINT involves using publicly available information, things like social media posts, public record, or even dark web chatters, to gather insights on potential threats. So one of your team members starts with Shodan, and it doesn't take long before they spot something alarming, which is a domain that looks suspiciously like Secure Bank official websites, but with a small tweaks in the URLs, because instead of the securebank.com, it is secureb4mkey.com. So now this is a classic case of typo squatting, where attackers create fake sites designed to trick people into handing over their login details. So meanwhile, another team member uses Multigo and visualizes the connection between the different pieces of data. So with Multigo, they track down some concerning activity on a dark web forum where hackers are discussing a new phishing kit. One designed specifically to mimic login pages of major banks. As they dig deeper, they find mention of Secure Bank. So now, how do we now connect the dots in phase 2? The pieces of the puzzle are coming together. Now, using OSINT, your team confirms that cyber criminals are actively targeting Secure Bank and have already launched a phishing campaign. These attackers are trying to trick customers into entering their login details on a fake website, which would give them direct access to the customer. The team also monitors social media, where customers are posting about strange emails they've received that seem to be from Secure Bank but aren't quite right. So now, by correlating all this information, phishing kits on dark web, typo squatting domain, and social media complaint, your team realized that this is a serious coordinated attack. Now in phase 3, we need to act fast and stop the attack. Now that you know what is happening, the team springs into action, take down the fake domain. First, the legal team works with the domain registrar to shut down the fake website by getting it blacklisted on browsers and web email services. You ensure that fewer customers will fall victim to the scam. Next, we raise awareness. We need to send out an urgent alert to all Secure Bank employees and customers, warning them about these phishing emails and proving tips on how to recognize them. So for instance, we remind that there are small inconsistencies in the domain name before clicking on any link in an email, and also provide internal security strength. So we also review our internal securities, such as the MAC policies to prevent email spoofing. This makes it much more harder for attackers to send emails that look like they are coming from Secure Bank. And now the last phase is, now how do we dig deeper and catch the bad guys? So the job isn't over. We've found out that this was a coordinated attack, and we've been able to bring down everything that's related to the attack. But now, how do we catch the bad guys? So the team keeps investigating using Multigo to trace some of the username found on that web forum, One username stands out, and it has been associated with other cybercrime activities like selling stolen credit card information. Further digging revealed is linked to a social media profile on Facebook where the attacker has been a little too careless using the same handle. So now that we've gotten the Facebook profile, your team compiles all the evidence gathered from the OSINT, the fake domain, the social media complaint, the information from dark web, and hands it over to law enforcement. The cyber criminals trail has now been exposed, and the authorities launched a formal investigation, eventually arresting the individual behind the phishing campaign. Now, this is a scenario where OSINT is used in cybersecurity. Now, how is OSINT used in law enforcement? Now, the case study that we'll be looking at is using OSINT to help law enforcement catch a human trafficking ring. Now, the background story is that imagine you are part of an international law enforcement agency tasked with tracking down a human trafficking ring that has been operating across multiple different countries. The trafficking organization is highly organized, moving people across border illegally and operating under the radar. There have been sporadic reports of missing persons, and some victims have surfaced in different parts of the world, but the ring remains elusive. The challenge is clear: gather enough intelligence on this network to bring it down. Traditional investigative methods have yielded some information, but it is not enough to launch an operation, and that is where OSINT comes into play. So, to bring down this type of human trafficking, we need to cover 6 phases of OSINT. So, that we need to identify digital footprint. Second phase is we need to spot the traffickers. Third phase is that we need to gather evidence from dark web forums. And fourth is to track location using geotag photos. Fifth is to break down the trafficking ring. And sixth is to rescue victim and provide justice. So in the first phase, where we want to identify the digital footprint. Now the goal is for the law enforcement was to use OSINT to identify members of the trafficking ring, to track down their operation and gather evidence of their activities. OSINT tools and techniques that could be used could be social media platform, dark web surveillance, and geolocation data. Then we can also use facial recognition tool as well. So now, how do we now spot the traffickers in the phase 2? So as part of the OSINT efforts, investigators focused on social media platform where they noticed unusual pattern. Several Instagram accounts were posting photos of individuals who resemble some of the missing persons from different countries. Now, these accounts, however, didn't belong to the victim, but rather to anonymous users. Digging deeper, investigators found that these accounts were connected through a common network of friends and followers who were all linked to known regions associated with human trafficking. Some of these profiles displayed red flags, which is no personal details, vague profile information, and photographs that appear to be taken in remote or industrial area. So by using Montego for link analysis, law enforcement connected this suspicious profile to a larger group operating across several countries. Each of these profiles was tied to specific online activities that suggested illegal movement of people, offering job opportunities in different countries, recruiting model. So we found out that by them offering job opportunities, people are drawn to it, and that is the illegal movement that was used to capture humans. Now in phase 3, we need to gather evidence from dark web forums. Investigators knew that human trafficking rings often communicate and transact with dark web, where anonymity is easier to maintain. Using dark web surveillance tools like the Tor browser and SpiderFoot, the team infiltrated several forums where illicit activities were being discussed. On this forum, they discovered that one particular group had been actively offering services that matched the description of human trafficking. The traffickers use coded languages to advertise their cargo, which is people. So they call cargo people, and investigator pieced together enough information to understand that this group was responsible for moving people across borders for forced labor and exploitation. The trafficker would post encrypted images of the inventory along with coded description of age, nationality, and physical appearance. Now, the OSINT team decrypted some of these images and found that many of these faces match people from the missing person database. Now, phase 4, how do we track the location using geotagged photo? Geolocation techniques, which the investigator used to track down the physical location of the trafficker. Many traffickers, while careful, would post images that had hidden metadata, such as geotagging data, embedded in photo. So by running this photo through tools like EXIF tool, investigator extracted the coordinates and mapped them to specific location. One image, for example, was posted by a trafficker who claimed to be in an industrial zone in an European country. The metadata revealed a different story. The image had actually been taken near an unmarked shipping port in North Africa. This spot became a critical clue as it was known for trafficking up. Using this tool, law enforcement agencies pinpointed several locations where the traffickers were hiding their victim or preparing them for transport. Now, the fifth phase is, how do we break down the trafficking ring? Right? So, coordinating with the global law enforcement agency, with the evidence gathered from OSINT, social media analysis, dark web surveillance, and geolocation data, the agency has with local authority in several countries, including regions where the shipping port was located. Law enforcement agency launched simultaneous raid on several of these locations, and one of these operations, they stormed a warehouse near the port where multiple victims were being held. Some of these victims were identified as missing persons from earlier reports. The operation also led to capture of several key figures in the trafficking ring, and the evidence gathered through OSINT combined with other investigative methods allow prosecutors to build a strong case against these traffickers, ensuring they were convicted and sentenced to prison. The last phase is how to rescue the victim and provide justice. So dozens of victims were rescued through this coordinated raid, many of whom had been missing for months or even years. They were provided medical care, counseling, and support service to help them reintegrate their society. OSINT had played a crucial role in identifying these victims and bringing them back. The survival story gave law enforcement further insights into how the trafficking network operated, helping them close additional gap in the case and shut down other routes used by the traffickers. Now, the lesson learned is that the power of OSINT in law enforcement agency. So OSINT can be used to track down things globally and geopolitically. Now, from this case study, we can see that the practical application and impact of OSINT. The key lesson learned include the importance of using multiple sources, verifying information, and staying updated with the latest tools and techniques. To summarize, OSINT is a powerful tool for gathering and analyzing publicly available information, and it has wide-ranging application in national security, law enforcement, business intelligence. I'm open for questions.